In this video, we're going to take a look at how to create floors in Revit. So I'm going to go ahead and start on my architecture tab. I'm going to go to my floor command. So you can do the drop down, but remember that the top, like this top button here, if you click that, it's going to put you into the top action of that drop down, and that is the one we want. So we do want to use floor architectural. So you can do the drop down and select that, or just click on the top part here. And I am immediately put into what is called a sketch command. So you see that everything else is grayed out here, and you do have to finish the sketch before you can exit this, or you can exit it and lose anything that you're doing. So a good reminder that you're in a sketch command is going to be up here at the top. And you see this green ribbon here, and this entire thing being green. That's notifying you that you're in a sketch command. Also, the fact that everything else is grayed out is another good indicator. To get out of the sketch command, you're either going to finish the mode or you can cancel it. We're going to go ahead and sketch something though before we get into that. So right away you're put into what's called pick walls. So you can use this command to quickly go through and pick the walls, but you'll see that's pretty messy and there's a lot of cleanup to do after that. In this command, we need to make sure that we have one single boundary connected as a chain. All right. So right now, this is too messy. If I try to finish this, I'm going to get an error, and it's telling me lines cannot intersect each other. And I can either quit sketching, which is going to kick me out of the sketch mode, or I'm going to say continue and I'm going to fix it. So I can fix it. I can use my trim command to do so. And then now that I have, so this is one continuous chain, right? So I'm just hovering and tabbing to check that. But with this, I could then finish that mode. All right, and now I have a floor. I'm gonna switch that to shaded so you can see there's a floor there. You take a look at it in 3D. You can see it's a floor here. All right. You'll also notice that I did draw that to the inside face of the walls. But if it's the first floor, you would actually want that to go to the exterior of the wall, as the walls need something to be sitting on. So let me go back to level 1 here. I'm going to go ahead and draw another floor. All right, but this time, instead of doing the pick walls, I'm going to just sketch my own floor. All these are rectangulars. I can actually use the rectangular tool and it will be quicker here. So I can quickly sketch here to the inside face of the walls here. And again, I'm just going to the inside face just for reference here as we get going. If I finish that, then I have another floor there. And then let's do another one here. And let's say I have two different flooring types, and I have two different flooring types in the same room. So I can also sketch that. We're going to talk about different types here in a second. Let's say I'm going to start adjusting these to how I would actually want them drawn. So when I have an interior wall, I want to go to the center line, and then exterior wall, I'm going to go to the exterior footprint. And I can actually adjust the footprint of these items to select that. It's a little bit tricky with the floors sometimes in a plan view to select them because it's going to pick the model element that's higher up. So you can see it's trying to select the wall here for me. So to do that, I'm going to hover on the boundary, the edge of the floor, and hit tab. So you're just hitting tab like you would a space bar. You're not holding it down. That's the second tab. That's the third tab. You can see the boundary of the floor highlight. I'm going to select that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit edit boundary and adjust these boundary lines to how we would want to draw them properly. And I'll leave the other one so I can show you the reasoning for doing this. All right, so interior walls, I go to center line. Exterior walls on the first floor would go to the exterior face. All right, and the reason for center line is then when you draw another floor, you always know, where the other one is, so you don't have floors that are overlapping. Let's go ahead and draw one in here. And once I'm drawing this boundary, I can always adjust it, down the line, move things around, use my trim command, and adjust those boundaries. Okay, let's take a look in 3D. So you can see the reasoning for going to the center line of the wall here. Switch that to shaded so you can see it a little bit better. But we'll see on this one, see how these floors are lining up right next to each other. There's no overlap versus this one here. If we were to do all of these just to the inside face, then these walls wouldn't have anything below them, which of course would be a problem when building. So let's take a look now. If I switch this, all of these wall types right now are a generic 12-inch, but I can switch them to other types here. There's some already in here, and we'll take a look at creating new ones, but for now I'm just going to switch it to a different type. So this one has a wood joist underneath with a ceramic tile on top. So you can see that that color changed. Let's take a look at level 1, see if there's a pattern. There's no pattern. Okay, let's try one of the other ones. There we go. So we have a carpet finish here. So you can see the color changed and the hatch changed. And let's go ahead and draw switch this one as well. There we go. So we have a wood finish, so that has a different pattern as well. Take a look at it in 3D. Okay, so we have 3 different types here. Also, if I switch those to realistic, you'll see that they have a different material, and we'll talk about the materials and get into that as well. You can see the different types here, and this is a tiny little mosaic tile. All right, so now I have 4 different floors, and they're all different types. So you can have multiple floors of the same type. So let's draw another floor in here. And it's gonna hard to select that. I'll come back and trim that. Mhm. And shortcut for that trim command is TR. So I just hit TR there to get into the command. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this. Okay, so now I have 2 floors that are the same type. So if I did a hover and select all instances of view, you can see that these are the same. All right, but the important thing about this to note on this is that each of these floors has its own boundary at this point in time. So you can also have a multiple boundaries within the same floor. It's just important that if you do that to note that they're going to be the same type. Okay, so when I select it now, they're now one element. So a note too, that's 2 closed paths. They all have to be closed paths. So if you have 2 rooms that are of the same finish, you can put them in the same floor with separate boundaries. I do recommend keeping each one separate, but just want to make sure that you're aware, especially if you're in the sketch mode and you start sketching a lot, that this could happen. So the thing that could be confusing about this down the line is if something changes here and I decide that this corner here is going to be a different finish, that then when I go to switch that floor, remember both of these are the same floor right now, 2 closed paths in the same floor. So if I go to switch that, then the other one is switching as well, okay, because they're the same floor. So I recommend doing 1 floor per room. And then of course, if you have multiple finishes in the same room, then you can do separate. You'll have to do separate floors for that. You'll notice that this pattern and this one is going this way versus this way. You can adjust that. So if I zoom in here, I'm going to hover and tab until I see one of the lines highlight. I'm going to click on it and I can use my rotate command. 1 click to start, and I can type in or move my cursor to where I want to rotate it, and I can rotate that accordingly. I don't, probably not going to be on a 45, but you can rotate that pattern around. All right, now if I wanted to create a new type of floor, I will let's go ahead and use this one here. I would click on, actually we'll start with the generic. I'll click on edit type, and then I'm going to duplicate. And then you would get a name here of what your flooring type actually is. This is just a naming convention for your use and your recognition. All right, then I would go into edit type. And then from here, you can see a preview here of the floor. Oh, let's try to move that over. There we go. Um, and then here under the material is where I can go in and apply a different material. So there's some that are already in here that are created. So you can look through those. Or if this doesn't have what you want and you need a new material, okay. So there's like the oak flooring, that might be what the other one is. You can also create a new material. But before we get into that, let's talk about these tabs here. So I'm sure you noticed that when I switched the kind of the viewing mode, I'm going to call it, down here, that it went from this kind of more graphic representation to an actual more of like a rendered appearance. It's not a full render, but it's what Revit calls the realistic view. So the information in the material is what is controlling that difference and that look. So let's go with this VCT here, the vinyl composition tile, for this new floor that we're doing. But what's important to note here is this appearance tab is going to be what you see when it's set to realistic versus the graphics tab. All right, so this pattern and this shading is going to be what you see when you are set to the shaded view. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll say okay here, and I'll show you what I mean here. So, but just remember, graphics tabs, what you see on the shaded. So that's going to be this render appearance with this pattern. All right, versus when we change this to realistic, you're going to see what's on the appearance tab. Right? And we will learn how to create our own materials down the line. But let's go ahead and take a look at this. I'll go ahead and hit OK. And there we go. So there's that shaded. So remember, we are set to shaded right now. So that's that tan color with that 12 by 12 tile pattern. And versus realistic, where I'm going to see that image that was loaded in on the appearance tab. All right, so that's where that information is coming from. If I go back to shaded, I can also change this angle as well. Again, that's a hover tab and then a click to select. So I can rotate this. Let's say this is on a 45. All right, so I can rotate that pattern. Let's do one more on, I'll do another new floor type here. This one I'm actually just gonna go. Let's go ahead and create kind of a border here. So let's say I have two different floors. Maybe I have an inset of a different type of tile. Okay, so let's change the offset here to 2 feet. And then I'm gonna use this rectangle command here. Click. All right, so it's going 2 feet off of what I'm clicking on. I'm gonna hit spacebar here. So spacebar is outside or inside. So I wanna offset it 2 foot inside. All right, I'm gonna click to finish that. And then I'll do another floor around it. Another tool for this that is very handy is the pick lines tool. So that would be something very quickly I can lay this out. If I hover tab and get that chain and click to select. And then I can also use that to do the rest of the lines. Again, we need these to be closed paths. So I can use my trim command afterwards, but just another option up here for how you're drawing your floors. All right, so let's go ahead and create a new flooring type here. So we're going to duplicate again. I don't know what material I'm going to select yet, so I'm just going with the new floor 2. I'm going to go into edit type and I'm going to go into material. So if you don't have, the type of material that you want in here, also you can search this really quickly. So I'm searching, tile, but maybe I need another tile. I've already used these. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new material and I'm going to name it. And then I'm going to click on this here. This is called the asset browser. So there's just a lot more materials in here that are already pre-made that you can use. So you can also search this. So let's say I want it to be another tile. And then it's going to just kind of pull up the tile options. You can also, go through these and look for your different materials. I'm just going to go ahead and go with, let's go tile ceramic floor and see what we get. So I double click to apply it. All right, so then that updated this here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go, I can take a look at, oh, that's not a fun one. All right, let's find something. Maybe we'll go with a wood. I know that those have. All right, so I can double click and apply it. There we go. And so then I know this is the image. This is what I'm going to see in realistic view. This is what I'm going to see in the shaded view and hidden line view. The difference between the shaded and hidden line, I'll show you here. So this doesn't have a pattern. You can apply one. I'm just going to throw on the, we'll go with a crosshatch for now. And let's just go ahead and say okay here and here. All right, and now I have a small wood or wood material with a crosshatch. So that crosshatch is going to show in shaded. If I go to hidden line is going to not show the shaded color, but it is going to show the pattern. And if I go to realistic, then it'll show that image there. So we'll take a look at creating custom materials in another video, but that is how you can create new floor types and apply materials from the asset browser that's already loaded in Revit.